somebody like me who was very welcomed, okay, they called me Natani, which is the Navajo word for the Great One. I was embarrassed, but I was going, it's a 144-mile trip, and I would leave at 5 in the morning, and I would get home at midnight, okay, because I went to 2 schools and had these kids in Cub Scout and Boy Scout units and educating them where they didn't get educated before. One of the things that I stumbled on is libraries have book sales. And there's a couple of books, and we have some in the library here, Tony Hillerman, and he writes about the Navajos, mysteries, okay? I gave a book on my first visit to one of the kids. He hugged it. He wouldn't let it go. It was a treasure. So as I went around the United States with my family, I would stop at libraries and say, whenever you have a book sale, and they all have, and when you get to the point where it's $1 a book,
yes,
and they all do that, I said, I will pay if you will go ahead and take all the Tony Hillerman books and send them to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had librarians, okay, in Pennsylvania, in Texas, in Illinois, in California, sending me Tony Hillerman books at $1 a piece. Okay, and in total, I gave 825 books to these kids. I found out it's very easy to go ahead and work with kids if you focus on their needs. Now, I'll just give you one quick example. One of the kids came up, they are crazy about rodeos. One kid comes up and he says, Chief, that was my name, and the only reason was because the Navajos don't have chiefs. You know, we think that all they need to have chiefs, you know, that
yes.
No, the Navajos don't. Okay.
Is that because of democracy?
I have no idea, but that word is not used. Okay.
But still, do they have leaders?
Oh yes, they do have leaders.
They just don't use the word
chief.
chief.
So I didn't have to change my name. Okay. I taught them how to use a bow and arrow. Okay. And if they hit the bullseye, I gave them a quarter. And if you remember years ago, the states had state quarters. All the states had their special quarters made with their state name on it. And so I bought rolls and rolls of those. And I would go and give the kid that. It was, let's see, I think it was the 70s and 80s. I did it for 14 years. And my wife painted a buffalo on a piece of canvas that was 10 feet, okay, long. And we put that out in the field, and they were throwing, okay, their lances. And if they hit that, I gave them a quarter.
Oh.
Now, a quarter to those kids was like giving you $25.
That's a lot. That's huge.
Oh, yeah. And so they really got into being an expert at throwing that javelin, okay? And the same with bows and arrows. If they hit a regular target with a bullseye, I gave them a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids were just wonderful because they got so excited. They never had rewards before. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. But the reward came only if they met the requirement.
Were they trying to cheat?
few times they'd say, "Oh, that's a bullseye." I said, "Come on, look, you show me where it's the bullseye. It's right outside that bullseye." And then, they always tried.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were learning indirectly. The classic situation was they were very fluent in speaking English and Navajo.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't read or write a single word
In non-language.
in their language.
Mm-hmm. But do they have writing?
Yes.
They do.
Yeah. They could write in English, but not in Navajo.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't write in Navajo and they couldn't read in Navajo.
In Navajo, do they use letters or
Yes.
letters?
So what happened was that I bought some books that had the English sentence, and right underneath the English sentence was the Navajo words and spelling.
Do those books even exist?
Huh?
Those books exist?
Very rare, very rare, because when I
Yes.
first talked to the principals,
Mm-hmm.
they said, "Oh, that would cost too much, and I don't even know if they exist."
Mm-hmm.
So I did the research. I found out they did exist. I bought the books. I brought them into the principal's offices here now, because I said, "Why don't you have classes on so these kids can read and write their own language?" And she said, "We don't have that material, and it would be too expensive."
But the principal, was he or she Navajo?
Oh yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So they were potentially motivated.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, I bought some books. I gave it to the principal. The principal set up a new program, and now those kids can read and write their own language. I mean,
That's precious.
What a reward,
That's
to
precious.
see that. Yeah. But anyway, my whole existence in going back and forth those 144 miles for 11 and a half years, and I did that twice a month for 12 months of a year, in other words, because they had classes in the summertime as well. So I was a busy person for many, many years. So anyway, it's interesting to note that you can make a difference in the lives of kids. And one of the things that I'm most pleased about is I asked the principal at the last school that I was at if I could create an award of a $25 savings bond. And you, the teacher, the principal, you determine what the criteria is. I'm not going to do that. What do you want to reward a kid for doing? And they came up with a whole series of things. And every year, they then selected the student who was to receive that $25 savings bond. And I was sensitive to the fact that many awards that I've encountered are good for 2 or 3 years because the funding runs out, okay, to go ahead and continue. So I said, where's your local bank? And you talk to them and have them tell you how much money I need to deposit in order to assure that every year there's enough interest in what's been deposited to buy a $25 savings bond. Admittedly, I gagged and they said $17,000. Anyway, long story short, I gave $17,000 to the bank, and there's a $25 savings bond coming to those kids forever because the interest from that $17,000 will go ahead and buy a $25 savings bond. And to reinforce that, I had a plaque as big as that wall. And every time somebody, each year when somebody got that, we put their name on that plaque. And that plaque was so revered, it was right next to the principal's office, because the principal understood the value. What do Native Americans do? One of the things that they do is baskets. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of baskets on the wall there. And interesting enough, they come in all sizes, and some have stories to tell, all right? Like over here, the man in the maze, you can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me, then there's the family ones, and then there's animals, okay? And there's all kinds of integration of birds, eagles. The swastika is not a swastika to them. That's the symbol of hope and greatness. And a lot of people were always upset that the Indians during World War II have swastikas all over the place, because that was Hitler.
Right.
And yeah, they even got into color by dyeing the straw on this one over here. And so this was their...
Is it the United States flag?
Exactly. That's the closest they could come to making a flag in a basket.
What is the name of the tribe that are specialized in baskets?
Oh, they all do it.
They all do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. They all make baskets.
But mostly what you have, do that belong to Native Americans of the East Coast?
No, mostly in the north of Albuquerque. Most of them were the Navajos.
Navajo.
The natives, interesting enough, look at this here, this leaf, okay? They communicated, they couldn't read or write, but they could draw. So they would go ahead and, in essence, get a large leaf and put a picture on there to communicate, okay, a message to their friend on a leaf. Bolos, okay? I have hundreds and hundreds of bolos. I take a piece of leather, I take that symbol, paint it up, glue it together, put the straps on there, and so now...
So you wear it over your neck?
Right. So in Memorial Day, for example, I wear this. Or I come to a mineral store and I see, you know, that there's something that's been etched on a mineral, and I said that would be a beautiful one. So it says there, be ashamed to die until you have done something good for mankind. So
this is what you have been busy with most of your life.
And people read that, and there's a message there. I'm not going out preaching like a teacher, but when they see a beautiful bolo and that statement, okay, guess what? They start changing their habits. So you can do that over and over and over again. And here's a beaded American flag that a Native American had made. It wasn't a bolo, so I made it into a bolo, because I said, man, that's a beautiful bolo. So on patriotic days, I make that. And it just goes on and on. Here's a beautiful one. This is a symbol, a revered symbol that the natives have. And so a mineral shop, etched that onto that and was just selling it. And I said, oh no, that's going to be a
beautiful.
And guess what? I went to Alaska and, they were selling totem poles. So I said, that's a nice bolo. So I bought one and then put the bolo together.
Beautiful. A huge collection of shoes over there on the top of you.
Oh, the moccasins, yes.
Okay, moccasins.
Yeah.
Are they from Alaska?
No, they're all 48 state. And they're from all over. In other words, as I traveled, if I saw a pair of moccasins that were reasonably priced, I would buy them. So they come from all over. What I really admire is the fact that all of the problems that we gave the Native Americans during World War I, they went and fought for us. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when they came back, look what they did. They were so impressed with what they had done when they made their moccasins.
Right.
They made
beadwork.
Beadwork.
Over deer skin?
Yeah.
Cow skin?
Yeah. And did the patriotic. I mean, how can you be downtrodden all your life, go then fight for who downtrodden you, and then come back and make moccasins?
Yes. So what were their attitude to it? What happened?
Oh, they're I mean, some of them grunt and groan, but by and large, they just accepted what happened, which unfortunately is,
I heard those ideas when, like, on the East Coast, they celebrate Columbus Day.
Yes.
And there are there is an opposition saying, "What are you celebrating?"
Albuquerque does not celebrate that.
Yes.
Columbus Day is not. It's a genuine barber's chair that they refinished. This is buffalo hide here. This is buffalo hide here with the buffalo horns. And then this lady with beadwork did that. The Buffalo Days signature here, and then this. So yeah. And if you come right around here, just before you leave, you can see Crazy Fred, full of Indian attire, and because of the beadwork, when it gets raggedy and torn, they just cut it there, sew on a new bottom, and they still have the beadwork.
Right. That explains.
But here's a painting I had commissioned. That's me. And one of the things is we were protecting stagecoaches. And so I had the guy paint that. These are paintings of various Native American scenes of places that I've been to. And every once in a while, something, just a close-up there. This one here, I named. I bought it, didn't have a name, but to me, that you see this piece here, this red
Tamagog?
stone? Yeah. It's red stone, and they use that red stone to make all kinds of things, and it was only in one place, the southwest corner of Minnesota. And the interesting thing that the Native Americans in the United States had an understanding. If you were going to that place to get some redstone to make pipes, or coming back with the redstone, even your enemy couldn't touch you. And that's what, when I saw this painting, it wasn't named, but I saw that and I said, my God, that's exactly what it was. Here this one Indian is coming back, here are his enemies, but he's saying, look, I've got some red stone here. So
This
they
is
let him go.
automatic protection.
Exactly.
Why do you know why this belief happened?
Why what?
Why they
Well,
let go?
because they knew that, hey, it could be me on the other end. I could be going out and I could be, encounter a bunch of my enemies and who will kill me. But because they see I've got redstone that I'm going to make peace pipes out of, I'm not going to attack you.
Oh, I see.
So it was in their interest. And that was just a concept that spread amongst all of the Indians.
So it's not an axe. It's you say peace pipe.
Yeah.
It's like a flute.
You see the top of that?
Yes.
Is hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like an axe, but it's a peace pipe.
Peace pipe.
Most of the rugs that you'll see, native rugs, are like this, straight lines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there's artists, Indian artists, that make what's called pictorials. And so here's not a straight line, but a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the best weaver in the world. She made this. And look at all of the curves and integrating, horses going through a fire hoop, jugglers, a guy in a cannon ready to be shot. Okay.
Doesn't look happy.
A seal, okay, balancing, okay, a ring around him. Elephants.
Right.
I mean, it's an incredible one. But this I bought because of the ingenuity of how do you go ahead and stabilize a rifle. This Indian says, I know how to do that. I'll take 2 arrows, grip them, and then I'm not out there like this.
Right.
Okay? So
Look at their
creativity.
faces.
Yeah.
Very mighty.
And this is called a chief's rug, and it's extremely rare because look what's in the middle.
Train?
Yep. So Crazy Fred has to have a train, right?
Right.
Look over here. There's another one.
Mm-hmm. With the train.
Yeah. That's a chief's blanket again, but very rare because of the train in the middle. But see, they modify their behavior to make a sale.
Right, right.
The rugs or the lap robes or whatever, they come in all kinds of sizes. Look at the little one, and of course, because I have trains, you can see that I favor that. But there's their little hogan and a wagon and cattle. And of course, trains have to be there because of my love for trains. Let's put it this way. When I went to school,
Mm-hmm.
you took a nap
Mm-hmm.
during the day. So we all had to have something to lay on. And my father, okay, God bless him, bought me a little rug to lay on during nap time at school. That's the lap rug. I mean, that's the
The rug you were sleeping
that
on
I was sleeping on,
in your school?
and I always told my wife, I said, she would say, you know, you went crazy on Indians. And I said, yeah, well, what happened was at a very early age, that was absorbing in my brain as I was laying on that particular lap robe.
Right. You have strong connection. Strong connection that is there in your bones.
Isn't that crazy? And she knew about my interest. And she says, oh, my friend is moving. And maybe you can go ahead and see if he'll sell that. Well, he was very happy. And as I was. So
just
there's
look
not
at
too
that.
many rooms in Los Ventanas that have totem poles.
No, not at all.
Life-size totem poles.
Not at all. They are terrific.
But again, I try and educate. And as I said earlier, I bought a book and I gave it to Los Ventanas on how to make and construct and the meaning of the different faces, etc., on the totem pole. And so they have that as a document to study and learn, and they're going to be making them by reading, because this book was how to make totem poles and what feature conveys what message. And as you can see here, here's a wolf, a bird,
eagle, I would say.
yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. It was so interesting. It was so deep.